This video is sponsored by Sakuraco and Tokyotreat. Now I know you're probably used to this right now, but I really want to share another month of Japanese snack boxes to you guys. This time, it features new themes that might actually catch your attention. Honestly, it really caught mine, because for the month of May, we're having the matcha and mochi theme for Sakuraco, together with the Sakura picnic theme for Tokyotreat. Seriously, if you're fond of matcha, then Sakuraco will contain a lot of delicious and tasty foods for you. You can add that with the snacks from Tokyotreat, which could contain your next favorite thing to eat. Sakuraco is a monthly Japanese subscription box full of authentic and traditional Japanese foods from Japan's local artisan snack makers, while Tokyotreat is also a Japanese subscription box but contains more of popular Japanese candy and treats. If you order one, these boxes will be delivered straight from Japan to your door. You can use our code KlemenTime with 5% off on your first purchase. With our first treat, I tried out the Sakura candy. I love the taste because the longer it stays in your mouth, the more you begin to taste the sweet pineapple flavor. It's very addicting, and I was eating some of it while editing this video. Next is the Kit Kat Banana Caramel. This one first caught my eye while checking out this month's content. It was very delicious and sweet. However, if I compare this one with last month's Kit Kat flavor, I prefer the Sakura one. Still, the flavor was well balanced, and it blended well with the chocolate taste. Overall, I recommend that you guys give this a taste. Moving on to this corn puff snack called Mr. Onion Taro. I first thought that it was cheese puffs. Instead, it had an onion taste with a crunchiness to it. One of my friends who is Japanese told me that this is a popular snack in their country. It's one of the things she always buys back home. When we were recording this video, this was one of the snacks that we fully consumed because of its addicting flavor. Next, we tried out the treats from Sakuraco. The first one I chose is the Nishio Matcha Pie. This snack is a balance between sweet and bitter, and I recommend that you try it out with either tea or some coffee. The outer layer was crispy and blended well with the matcha flavor. We were given 2 pieces, so you can definitely share this snack with someone you love, or maybe a close friend. Now for the Matcha Cream Daifuku. It is a snack full of sweet cream and bean paste, encased in an incredibly smooth mochi. If you've seen my previous sponsored videos, you will see that I've always tried the mochi snacks. That's because it's one of my favorite treats, and adding it with the matcha flavor, it certainly didn't disappoint. There we have it. The treats and snacks were delicious as always, and I'm so happy to get the chance to try them out. So if you want, click the link down below and enter our code KlemenTime for 5% discount. Thank you so much to both Sakuraco and Tokyotreat for sponsoring the channel. Now let's get on with the video. So, now that the Iridori event is in its final stage, a lot of players may not be finished with it and are now looking for more things to do. The Iridori festival was incredible, with character interactions and a fun and engaging story that intrigues most players who are familiar with the lore. However, the thing I want to talk to you about in this video isn't related to any of those. Instead, we will be looking into some overlooked lore pieces that a few may know about. First up, did you know that Yunjin's family was not originally known for their opera performance? Before they dedicated themselves to Liyue opera, the Yun family was known for weaponsmithing and craftsmanship. They even ran a forge 500 years ago, but no one knows where this forge is right now. I was kind of hoping we would get to see it when the Chasm was released, because I'm confused if the forge that is referred to here is the Blackleaf Forge beside the Golden House, or another forge entirely. Now, not only was the House of Yun known to be craftsmen, they were also skilled with martial arts and often used polearms and bows as their weapons. The only members that we know from this family other than Yunjin once lived during the Cataclysm, the event that caused the beast monsters to appear and forced Morax and the Millith to take action. During the post-Cataclysm era of Liyue, the Millith troops who survived after years of fighting returned to their families and homes. However, while there was now peace in Liyue, there was a sudden re-emergence of martial arts. Because of this, People wanted to learn these arts and tried practicing many types of weapons, including polearms, bows, and swords. Soon, the weaponsmiths of Liyue could not keep up with this demand for weapons. So as a solution, Yun Hui, who was the head of the Yun family at that time, decided to collaborate with another mastersmith named Hangwu. They thought of a new series of weapons that would revolutionize the armaments of Liyue. Together, they would go on to create the prototype Archaic, the prototype Rancor, and the prototype Starglitter. Originally, they had planned to only create these three, but soon after, Yun Hui requested a bow to be made, which came to be the prototype Crescent. When they thought they were finished, a mysterious thaumaturge who was a performer of miracles approached them and requested that they make a catalyst weapon, which would come to be the prototype Amber. These 5 weapons made up the prototype series and brought a new age of power to its wielders. As a result, the two would be greatly renowned for their achievements, and Yun Hui would go on to become a member of the Liyue Qixing, while handing the family business over to his daughter, Yun Huang. During her management, the Yun family was close to bankruptcy because at that time, the chasm was closed due to frequent earthquakes in the area, and the miners were forbidden to enter. Without their only source of mora, it was only a matter of time until their family belongings would no longer be theirs. Not until Hanse, the son of Master Smith Han Wu, arrived at her doorstep and proposed the idea of making blackcliff weapons and selling them. He also gifted her the famous and legendary blackcliff warbow because of her known mastery of archery. This saved the Yun family's legacy and helped Yun Huang to re-establish her family's wealth. As years passed, some of its members would soon change professions and try out new things other than weaponsmithing, one of which was Yunjin's grandfather. He grew tired of the art of forging and instead started to dedicate himself to the performing arts. He soon started and managed the Yunhong Opera Troupe, named after the famous collaboration of the Yun family and the Han family over the years. The love for Liyue opera soon carried over to the next generations, including Yunjin. By the time it came to Yunjin's generation, only a few members of the Yun family now practice forgery, and most people in Liyue nowadays no longer associate them as master craftsmen. It's very fascinating that a lot of lore from artifacts either originates from or is related to this one region, Mondstadt. However, while it is mostly known for its wholesome and chill atmosphere, a lot of tragic stories seem to come from here. One piece of lore from these artifact descriptions that I believed is overlooked is the story of Arundhilin and Rostam. In a time where Mondstadt was finally freed from the aristocrats, and Vanessa founded the Knights of Favonius to be the nation's defenders, there were 2 boys who aspired to become like the fierce red-haired legends and be their own hero. One of them was named Arundhilin, who came from a family of knights, while the other was Rostam. The two became friends during their childhood and would often play and explore near Wolvendom. As they grew up, they trained hard and enlisted for the Knights of Favonius. Arundhilin requested for a great sword to be made, one modeled off the weapon wielded by Ravenwood, the Knight of Boreas. Fun fact, the 3-star weapon you get while wishing the fairest shadow was modeled off of Arundhilin's greatsword. If you think about it, this is just a replica of a renowned weapon, which could explain why it falls into the 3-star category. Now later in their lives, the two would be given exceptional titles based on their experience and leadership. Arundhilin was given the title of Lion of Light, while Rostam was known as the Wolf Pup. Arundhilin also rose to be a Grand Master of the Knights and served as the Shield of Mondstadt together with Rostam. They basically led peaceful and grand lives up until the cataclysm happened. Because of the threat Tivat faced, Arundhilin and Rostam set up an expedition and led a group of knights to fight off this attack. While they did the best they could, a lot of them died in the battle, including Rostam. As Rostam fell to the ground, his final words to himself were, "She is studying abroad, so she should be well. But how I wish to hear her song again. At least Arundhilin and Roland are alright. When she returns, this calamity should have been blown over." His fair maiden Rosalind Krushka the future Crimson Witch of Flames, was studying in an institution far from Mondstadt in the land of Sumeru. As he continues to lose blood, his emotion could not bear the thought of not seeing her one last time, and remembers the timepiece he gave to her as a parting gift. In his final breath, Arundel arrived too late to save his dying friend, and shocked with what he saw, he left the battlefields and abandoned his role as Grand Master. He also dropped his greatsword to the ground and journeyed away to his childhood home, tired and devastated. Upon arriving, he saw the yellow flower that he and Rostam once picked when they were kids, and saw the change in his life with the passing of years. Now we don't know how he lived for the rest of his life and where he went, but maybe his story will be continued or explored in the future. The Bloodstained Knight was once a pure noble who was a mentee of the wolf pup Rostam. Under his tutelage, Rostam had taught him the ideals of chivalry, justice, and the mastery of sword. Before he came to be known as the Bloodstained Knight, he was given the title of White Knight as a reflection of his actions to correct any injustice he witnesses. Whenever there was a man-eating beast or fire in the distance, the knight would suddenly ride in haste to cut, slash, and pierce. This was his way of achieving justice. Such an action must hardly bear a toll on one's thoughts. However, there came one such moment when he saved a young maiden from a dangerous encounter. This maiden tried to give him a reward for his action, but the White Knight refused, and replied that showing an act of chivalry was his own reward. Still, the maiden insisted, and so the righteous knight was given a white flower. As he left and rode on towards his next goal, the young maiden stared at him from a distance and felt her heart infatuated. In the next few days, the young maiden continued to seek her hero and dreamt of a wonderful sight that they would be together. Despite having many suitors courting her hand in marriage, she rejected them all and only sought out her white knight in shining armor. Sadly, the White Knight didn't pay any attention to this and only continued to seek justice and pursue acts of righteousness. As the young maiden was daydreaming and praying for her love to reach her savior, the White Knight was busy cutting down his foes, all in the name of justice. Through the teachings of his mentor, the White Knight would go against any type of evil, so much so that by the time it was getting out of hand, someone pointed out that his slaughter in the name of justice is still considered slaughter. But the knight didn't take their advice and continued on his path. As the blood of his enemies continued to flow and stained his white clean armor, he reached a point where he was beginning to lose himself and thought it was just justice being done. However, one day, he came upon someone that needed saving. After he easily slaughtered this threat, he saw fear in the eyes of the person that he was trying to save. He then came to a realization that the countless slaughter he has done has also made him a ruthless monster. This was where his title was changed to the Bloodstained Knight. In the end, he realized that there was no place for him on this earth, and decided to go to Conria with the intention of dying there. Instead, he learned of a forbidden truth about this world, and began to pledge his life to the abyss, saying that the curse inflicted upon the people of Conria is the ultimate injustice that he has ever witnessed. By that point, it is no longer known where he is now, or if he still lives. As for the young maiden, she continued to wait for the arrival of her White Knight, and maybe fulfill the dream she had of them together. However, the young maiden was no longer young, and she was too late to realize that he would never return. It is suspected that the Bloodstained Knight's name is Roland, because in the description of the Elegy for the End, Rostam's dying words mentions two names, which would make Roland the Bloodstained Knight. But it's also entirely possible that future lore will explain who Roland is, so for now, that connection is simply a possibility and nothing more. Iwakura Doke was the firstborn son of Mikoshi Chiyo and the creator of the Iwakura art. His mother was a close ally of Raiden A and had adopted another son named Nagamasa to the Mikoshi clan. He was originally named Mikoshi Doke and lived through the cataclysm 500 years ago. Misfortune fell upon his clan when his mother Chiyo turned on Raiden A and betrayed the shogunate. As a result, the Mikoshi clan's prestige fell, and some of its family members left Inazuma City to hide. This included Mikoshi Doke, who secluded himself in Konda village. Before he could settle in, he suddenly met a Tengu girl named Teruyo. Doke told her of his tragic story, and so Teruyo decided that he should change his name to Iwakura Doke and abandon his former clan. Adding to that, Teruyo challenged him to a duel, a clash between a son of a Noni and a daughter of the great Tengu. If he manages to touch her, she would grant his sword the title of Tengu Victor. This is a great deal for Doke, because he knows that the names given by the Yogu Tengu are blessed with divine powers. So for 13 years they dueled below the Grand Narukami Shrine. When Doke finally bested Teruyo, she kept her promise, and his sword was now called the Tengu Victor. However, now that the promise has been fulfilled, Teruyo left Doke and told him that she has places she needs to be, while adding that he must also forget her. With Iwakura Doke now a changed man, he soon developed a sword technique known as the Tengu Sweeper, a powerful strike that could cut a Tengu soaring in the sky down. With this, he established his own sword school and called it the Iwakura Art. As his fame grew due to his swordsmanship skills, he was asked by the Kujo clan to be their instructor, and they bestowed upon him the title of Doin. Having many successes in his life, he added another when he asked an Amenoma smith to craft the Hakuin Michimitsu Amenoma that would serve as the heirloom blade of the Iwakura clan. This sword is where the Amenoma Kageuchi was copied from, and we can actually find this in the Serpent Bowels on the way to Enkanomiya. How it managed to go from Narukami to Enkanomiya will be a topic for another video entirely. Now, while Iwakura Doke was still alive, an unknown person made a mechanical swordsman based on his Iwakura art. This would come to be known as the Maguu Kenki. In fact, the sweeps that the Maguu Kenki uses when we fight him could be the sword technique that Iwakura Doke had developed. However, this experiment of using mechanical swordsmen failed and was later abandoned. To this day, Iwakura Doke's legacy still lives on. However, with the traveler's curiosity to find Tivat's mysteries, they killed all of the remaining descendants of the Iwakura art, thus permanently ending the Iwakura clan's bloodline. The adventures of Skipper and Parsifal kind of remind me of some characters from the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, but with the cast having a tragic past of their own. It starts with Parsifal, an aristocrat of Mondstadt who loved stories of heroism and chivalry. He had a brother named Eberhard who instilled in him these ideals of heroism to act as a personal motive. Because of these, Parsifal stole personal possessions from his fellow aristocrats and gave them to the common folk. He is the embodiment of Robin Hood, who was known to steal from the rich and give to the poor. In time, Parsifal's reputation led him to being referred to as the Phantom Thief, and carried a famous sword, the Alley Flash, and the renowned bow Alley Hunter with him. During one night, Parsifal was robbing a noble's house until he suddenly saw a girl with sapphire blue eyes. Captivated with her beauty, he reached out to her and gave her a gem as a gift. Shortly, the two exchanged words until finally Parsifal left. Unfortunately, the gem that Parsifal gave belonged to the family that the blue-eyed girl was serving. She was punished severely and started to hate Parsifal for it. However, she soon forgave him, and the two would always meet at night, exchanging courtesies. One day, Parsifal learned that his brother Eberhard had betrayed him, and if he didn't leave Mondstadt immediately, Eberhard would snitch on him and get him imprisoned. Having no choice, Parsifal buried his weapons and left Mondstadt for Liyue. In Liyue, he only brought a slim sword, the Iron Sting, and a blue feather to keep him company. He became depressed and wanted to spend his remaining days drinking. Soon, he met a captain of a ship only known as Skipper. This captain told him that he too had a traumatic experience, one that caused him to lose the lives of his crew. Skipper was the original wielder of the serpent spine and was made from the bones of sea monsters that he hunted during his adventures. Because of his obsession with collecting dead bones from the beasts he killed, he was more feared than loved. There came a time that he and his crew would meet their match. A huge sea monster was closing in on them, and although they fought back, the skipper and his crew could not kill the beast. One by one, the sea monster ate the crew members, and because it was satisfied with its kill, it spared the skipper. The skipper could only feel vengeance at this point. The lives of his men were all gone because of his obsession, and so he wanted to avenge their deaths. So he enlisted more crew members when he returned to Liyue. He paid for another ship to be built and prepared to hunt the sea monster that ate his past crew. This was when he met Parsifal. Following the skipper's story, Parsifal joined his crew and became their first mate. When the following conditions to set sail had arrived, Skipper and Parsifal set sail towards the sea monster. As they spotted the beast, they hurled towards it. Skipper, Parsifal, and his crew fought to the last man. They had managed to slay the sea monster, but at the cost of their own lives. Thus ends the tale from the waves. I really want to talk more about these overlooked pieces of lore, but it would probably end up being a 30-minute video. So subscribe if you want more of these, and maybe comment down below on what you believed as overlooked information. I'll try to make more of these if you guys want. This is just a small taste of many more things about Genshin's lore. The stories, the connectivity, and relation of these pieces are just fascinating to talk about, and it lets us players appreciate the game beyond its gacha mechanics and lack of engaging content. Now I want to say thank you for watching this video. This wasn't one of those that we initially announced in the community, and is somewhat of a surprise video. Don't worry though, because the actual videos we are working on will be posted a few days after this one, so be sure to stay tuned for that. I also want to give a last shout out to Tokyotreat's theme, the Sakura Picnic, which is an exclusive Sakura themed box for this month only, and contains products such as Pine Ami Sakura Candy, Strawberry Red Bean Loaf, and Kit Kat Banana Caramel. As for Sakuraco, its theme, Matcha and Mochi, have Sakura Sencha tea exclusively made and a lot of matcha-themed snacks. Anyways, check out the sponsor if you're interested. You know, it really helps the channel and it makes our goal come true of having no ads in our videos. Yeah, I know some people are maybe a little annoyed with how many sponsors we do, but when you do these types of content and videos, you really need a sponsorship because you never know how it's gonna go. As always, we are KlemenTime, and we will see you in the next.